All right.
For the day, episode 27.
Episode 27. Benjamin Gruenbaum.
Talented Benjamin Gruenbaum.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. So honored to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much
having
for being on the podcast. We're honored to have you.
I am
very,
honored
very,
to be
very
here.
talented.
It's a very
person.
busy week for you. It's a press week because you have a new song out, right?
Yeah, I'm all
Just
across.
out
I was in
there, yeah,
China
just-
yesterday.
yeah, dude,
I'm
just-
in Japan tomorrow.
You're a little jet lagged and stuff. That's the way we do it.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of traveling.
What's
Yeah.
it? So what's the name of the song? Tell
The
everybody
new
name of
song is "Meet Me in Waikiki." I wrote it when I went to Hawaii for my 26th birthday, and I just wrote it as a fun little joint. So yeah, "Meet Me in Waikiki."
It always trips me out, man, how like young you are. Like, and you're so talented, and like the age you are, and like I always compare, you
You
know,
wrote the
like
song
where
15 years ago, Eric.
I'm
put it on now.
47.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like whenever I listen to like your stuff, I'm like, man, you're fucking like so talented. Like, where was I in like that? Like, I'm like, man, you're so far ahead, dude. You're so
I
far
appreciate
ahead.
that,
You're
dude.
like just killing it.
Thank
Like,
you.
if you haven't listened to the song yet, listen to it, check it out, download it, Spotify, all the stuff.
Yeah,
like,
much
follow.
more
Yeah.
songs to come too. I feel like this one was just like a almost like an interlude to the better hits that I'm writing and will have. So it's like
Dude, all
more
your
of a-
songs are good, though. I mean, like
Yeah,
Ginger
Well,
Like
thank
Me,
you. Thank you.
Malibu Love.
I want them all to
Yeah.
have like, you know, their own little like soul to them. Like I like my songs to kind of breathe as themselves.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate it.
and you write, produce,
Yeah,
record,
everything.
like
So-
everything. So it's like all you, which is like really, that's again like why I was saying like very talented, like super impressive. Like, it's
Yeah.
like everything is like it's all you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah. The first song I did, I recorded it at a studio. So I had someone that did the vocals like mixing. So that's like the
Mhm.
first time but I mixed the actual song. So that was my first song, Ginger Like Me. But after that, everything has been self-produced because I kind of got in this boat of like, I want to own everything and I want to make sure that when I produce it, it sounds the way I want it and
Right.
Yeah.
end up good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, everything's self-produced, self-taught, self-sexy.
Yeah.
And
Emphasis on the self.
Do you do a lot of that? Like I went to your place one time. Benjamin helped me with my crypto problem I had. Also,
what a fun crypto problem. We can teach a lot of people about solutions too.
I was so terrified. I had like 10 grand in some cryptocurrency and I didn't know how to get it off these platforms. They're all going bankrupt and getting sued and shit. I'm like, Ben, I think the company I have this shit invested in, I'm going to fucking lose all this shit. I'm like, can you help me? He's like, I know how to do all this shit.
Yeah,
Don't
and
worry.
then Eric takes it into himself to send it himself to his own wallet and messes up, sends it to the wrong address
Yeah,
on
it
a
was
different
like-
network.
It was something like a fraction was off or something. And then I'm like, he's like, I don't know where it is, but we're going to find it. And you were confident the whole time. You were like a doctor going into like a surgery and
I
you're
did
like,
all the research.
don't worry, I'm going to figure this out. And by golly, we figured it, or you
my
figured
God.
it out 100%. And you like literally like saved all that for me.
It feels really complicated, but it really wasn't.
It
but
is.
It is.
Oh,
but
it is.
But I'm just
It is.
surprised. I remember you walking into the holiday party and you were like,
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
sent
right.
some Ethereum somewhere. I don't even know. And I'm like, and you looked
Yeah.
so distraught. You're
That
like,
was
I
a
just
year ago
lost.
already? At the
Yeah, I remember
That's
that.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was. It
That
was
like the
last
day
year
of the party,
Yeah,
or like the
that's-
day before, because you said you couldn't sleep or something. I was like, you looked so distraught.
Yeah, I was like, I just lost like 10 grand.
So
I'm like,
much
that's
money.
so much money to me.
I'm like, how the hell are we gonna get this back?
Yeah.
crazy.
Blockchain. We got to break the system.
And he gave me like notes to like to what to do and how to do it. And I followed everything except like
Get a
one
gun.
thing. I
Put
did.
gun in mouth. Shoot
Yeah.
self.
Yeah. And then like the day before I met up for our like holiday party for work, I was like, oh, I did it. And then it said something like, you know, user error. I don't know, something crazy. And then I told you and you're like, oh,
Yeah, I thought it was gone right away. I'm like, dude, why would you not discuss with me?
Yeah.
Tell someone you're gonna do it.
I was like, man, but
I'm so
yeah.
happy you got it back though. It's good.
So am I. Every time I see him, I'm like, love this guy.
Like, what else are you losing? Let's try to find it. Let's try to find
Yeah,
more
you
crypto
found
that
it, man.
you sent.
You found all of it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. So how long have you been out? What is the origin story of Benjamin? Like, I know you through where we work, which we shall not name, but we
Do you not?
No,
No.
we
Okay,
do.
heard.
We do not name. But I've known you through our work, co-working and stuff like that. But what got you out here? Or have you been out here the whole time? What got you into
So
music?
witness a relocation program, right?
Yeah. It was I was Bobby Flay before this. But, no, so I moved out here when I was 18, and I came out here for acting originally.
Mhm.
But after like 2 years, I actually just went to acting school for a year, and then I just kind of got in the work mode and didn't really audition. And then I just kind of fell in love with the music thing. I think I really just wanted like an art form that I could own myself.
Yeah.
And I felt a lot with like, and a lot with acting. It's like so many auditions and so much rejection of like, of just getting out there. And then it's like someone else's project that you have to be on. And then it's all the guidance from them. And I just feel like it would be cool to kind of find your own path. So I think that's why I fell into music, was like, I wanted to make my own art and like represent, like I wanted to look at the whole project and be like, that was me.
Right.
Rather than like, oh, I was a part of a big project where someone else directed everything.
Right.
But yeah, when moved out here for acting from Kansas City, Missouri. And that was in 2016, 2015, right after high school. So I was 18. Knew nobody when I moved out here.
Really? Nobody?
Yeah, not one
Not a
soul.
single soul.
So
where'd you move to? Did you move to Hollywood?
Moved to Hollywood. Yeah, I was like
Really?
right off Sunset,
away.
like Sunset and La Brea.
No way.
And I would go to the gym. I remember trying to meet like people at the gym. Like, these are going to be my new friends.
Do you want to be friends?
And they're just like, all the horny people at the Hollywood gyms.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's so true.
And I was so excited. My little Midwestern boy self was just like, I was waving. I remember going on runs and I would wave to everyone as I like ran by and being so happy that I was in this town.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
But yeah, Kansas City, Midwestern, born and raised.
Like, do you go back ever? Like, is that a frequent thing or not as much?
Every once in a while, like I try to go back every like 4 to 6 months, or like have the parents come out here or something. But really, it's just like to see the family.
Yeah,
we do have a big house out in Missouri. My parents do, so it's nice to go back and like de-stress and have like nothing, no sounds and quiet.
How have you found like moving out here and experiencing everything you've been experiencing, going back to Missouri and like kind of relating to people that haven't left and like are still in like the daily grind and all that kind of stuff, where you're like, you've experienced so many crazy things, in the years that you've been out here. I'm sure within the first year, like it's just ridiculous. And then you're like, go back home and you're like, I saw this and this and this and this. And they're like, what? Like,
I think anything blows those people away. Like when you're from the Midwest, anything blows you away. Like if you saw a famous person across the street, it's the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. And so when we started working at the place that shouldn't be named, rhymes with Naco L, which is Taco Bell. We met so many, it's just working at places where there are celebrities. I think it kind of numbs you out. So I got like, at first I would tell stories, like for the first few years, I'd be so excited to tell anyone from Missouri about any story.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you're just kind of like, I don't want to get into the stories.
I don't even know what to forget about people. When someone says a name, you're like, oh, that's right. I hadn't experienced that person at some point.
Yeah.
They slapped me in the bathroom. Yeah.
I feel there's like resentment that comes after. There's like a grace period where you can go back and be excited. And then after a while, when they ask you like, oh, when they want to hear those stories and then you tell them those stories, then they're like, really? And you're like, now this isn't that the same. Like, you're not like with me. You're like against me and like my experiences. So I'm like, okay, I'll just like, I didn't do anything. I just went to work. I just did my.
Does your family do that thing where it's like, I know it's not LA, but this is the best we got here?
Oh yeah. Especially winter time.
Yeah.
We have a heater.
We
have a heater.
Yeah.
It's not the sun. Yeah. There's snow outside, and we have a heater, Benjamin.
When you're here, your family.
Yes.
Are you going back for the holidays?
I am not. I usually don't when I'm here. I don't know why. I think it's just the weather. It's like just dreading the cold of Missouri because it's negative degrees.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But yeah, I'm going to be here. My mom's coming out in January, so I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm here. What about you guys?
I did my little trip. I went for like Thanksgiving, and then Eric's going back end of the month.
Winter vortex, fucking just trying to go as cold, as terrible of a fucking climate I can experience within the week I'll be there.
I
just
love that.
Go full on.
I bet you've already turned your heat off at home.
I bet it takes cold showers just to get ready for it.
I'm like buying like these jeans are like, I just bought these. I'm like, I better get like jeans and like sweaters and like things that I'm gonna need. Else I'm gonna have to wear my old like high school
the
clothes.
funny thing is, it's not that. I mean, I was home and it was like 30 degrees, which is
it's fucking cold as shit, man.
It
like
is 30 degrees actually, though. It's surprising. Like
if it was 30 degrees out here, like I think people would just like their heads would explode.
They would move.
Or something.
I have a fucking
people and
a sweatshirt on right now, and it's only 63 degrees, and my hands are still cold. Yeah. But at some point in time, when it gets to like below 67 degrees, I'm just cold. It doesn't really matter how much colder it gets. Just like I'm just inconveniently cold, and it's really not getting much worse. Like when you start getting the negative temperatures, and you start getting like frostbite or fucking windshield, like warning weather advisories and stuff because your eyelids can fucking freeze.
But going from like again, like cold out here, 65, maybe 55 and a windy day or something like that. And then you go back and it's minus 20 or minus 30. It's like
that
crazy.
That should be illegal.
It's crazy.
That should be illegal.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's way too much.
Dude, it was negative like 40 when we moved out here in April of 07. April, negative 40. And we actually were doing like commercial like painters at the time, and they actually like shut our job site down because it was like too cold to be outside.
Don't go to work today. Yeah. Why did they cancel the job? No, you'll die.
Yeah. We don't have a snow day, kids. It's just your limbs will freeze. Yeah. Your limbs will fall if you go to school. So just stay home.
Yeah, like
the world's shut down.
It's like such an unrelatable thing, but very like common back from where we're from, where it's like, yeah, you can't go to school today. It's like just deadly cold outside. You'll like literally kids are dying in the fucking snowbanks.
Good luck starting your car because you're not getting that thing turned on.
Yeah, it's fucked up because like I feel bad for kids because like snow days were a real thing when we were kids. Like that was like a big deal. And you watch like the little ticker tape at the bottom of the news.
Oh yeah, that's right. You see like your school
wake up
like,
early.
oh, we got it.
Yeah. School
Price is
You
right.
call the people at the other school. You're like, haha.
Yeah,
you guys want to play
going.
You guys got to go to school.
Yeah, it sucks to be you.
But now with Zoom though, they can just kind of like, all right, we're Zooming today, and you're like, oh, dude, really?
What a change that was.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like changed everything.
Yeah.
The whole snow day
just
idea.
Stolen.
Yeah, the snow day is gone.
Shit.
Snow day does not exist.
It was like some
now you got a snow filter behind you on Zoom.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Brr, it's really cold here. I can't.
We're all in this together. Nice. So you moved out here.
Yes.
You've been out here for how many years now?
Off and on for 7.5 years.
So you went back?
Yeah, I went back. So like a couple years, I spent like 2 years out here, did school, and then I was working, and then I had a bad roommate situation. Decided to kind of get out of the LA thing. I don't think I had like very many people around, so I was like, it just felt like a lot. And I was young at the time, and
people weren't being friendly on Runyon.
Yeah, waving to me. I kept going to the gym.
Like waving by, waving at people, and people are like,
I saw you at the gym, and they're like, get away.
No one wants to be your friend. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck
Go back to Kansas City, nerd.
Fuck out
oh
of here.
my god.
So you had a roommate situation.
Yeah, the roommate situation. But then I went back to Missouri. Let's see. I think I just went back to Missouri. I kind of just need to reassess, and then I came back out here.
So that's a very tough the back and then forth again, because I did that, and a lot of people that I was like, I first moved out here in 03, and I moved back to Wisconsin in 05, and I was back for like about a year and some change. And I roped Eric into moving out with me. But a lot of other friends that I had seen come and go over the years that like, I'm going to go back for a few months, never came back.
Yeah.
And that's like a tough thing to do, the back and forth. How long were you back in Missouri
Definitely.
for?
I think the first time it was like a year and a half. Which I don't think at the time I knew I would come back. I mean, I wanted to, but it's like you really have that feeling. It's like when you're here, you know you're going to come back, and you leave, and it just kind of just floods away. Like there's just things that go on. Life happens.
What would you have done if you would have stayed there?
I'm trying to think. I was a speech and debate. Yeah, suicide was on the list. It was one of the last
First
check
and
marks.
foremost, suicide. Hey, rope.
Yeah. I was a speech and debate coach for part time, which was great because I did that a lot in high school. So I did that plus. I think I just served at Hula Hands. So I was like serving and teaching kids how to do competitive debating and speech. So. But yeah, I think the struggle of getting back to the city is always is real. Like there's just too much distraction in the world. And I feel like you have to be very focused. Like if you're actually going to move back, you have to have a reason and have to have a plan. And I see so many people that just don't have a plan. They're like, I'll move, save up maybe a couple grand.
Yeah.
And then they come out and then they have a down payment that's like $3,000.
$5 grand.
Yeah.
Well, there goes all my money that I
Yeah. So I think people just don't have the plans and the determination to actually get back. I think you just kind of
main thing. Well, then also too, you realize how much easier it is living in like a smaller market like that.
Yeah, I think especially when you go from here, you know, when you go from a place like LA to a small town, it's like you love it a little bit. Like you love all the things that you never got out here.
Right.
The cheap beer and the good conversations and the no traffic, easy parking.
Yeah. You go to a place and it takes you the exact amount of time it says to get there.
Exactly.
You know? Like.
Yeah, however, there is like that if you're someone in the arts, music and all that stuff. Like I had that the second I moved back to Wisconsin, I crossed the state line and I was like, I made a terrible decision. I had to get the fuck out of here. Like I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I was like, I got to get back to fucking LA. Like
so you did move back and
moved back, and I moved back in September of 05. So this is the Katrina year. So like, of course that year we get like the most snow it's happened in like fucking 2,000 years or some shit. It's like since the dinosaurs were alive.
Since the dinosaurs, yeah.
Now we're gonna all this, and then I was working outdoors. I'm like, I moved back to a deep freezer. I fucking live in a goddamn deep freezer, and I gotta get the fuck out of here. And it was just like, I was so depressed. I was like, just like miserably depressed. But yeah, it only took me a year and a half to get the fuck out of that depression.
That cold will do that. I feel like it's all the cold. It
is.
really
It's
does
just
take
a
away
fucking
happiness.
nuisance. That's the thing. Is like,
It really does take away
It just
happiness.
soaks your happiness away.
Yeah.
Everyone's just so gloomy in the cold.
Yeah.
How do people do it in the Arctic? Like, how do they
That seasonal
that's
depression
why I
is
put
a
on those
real
little Ice
thing.
Age
the
shoes?
suicide rate's so high in like Alaska and shit. People have like fucking fake
believe
sunlight lamps and stuff because they don't have like sunlight.
Oh,
Years ago, I had this job on a cruise ship, and I was with a fucking chick that was from Alaska, and then one of her dad's friends like fucking suicided at the mall, just like fucking like, I can't take it. Yeah, fucking just
At
went
the
up
mall?
at the food court, jumped
Couldn't
off the
find
fucking
it.
balcony.
there was no Burger King there.
Yeah, it's, what is it?
I was so
Sparrow's-
lonely, needed to see some
Sparrow's
half the people
pizza
die, yeah.
or whatever.
Oh
He's
my.
like,
I need a slice and a suicide. Yeah, but she was telling me they
that's
have like fucking
crazy.
they have like wasn't that uncommon? Like that was where people would kill themselves.
that was the
Just
place.
At the mall.
That was
like, hey,
the
I got
place.
you down on a Thursday for a suicide at 1 o'clock.
Pepperoni
Oh my
slice and a
gosh.
suicide
Yeah.
on a fucking. That's crazy.
Now
man.
suiciding. Yeah. But like, yeah, dude, there's just like, they don't have daylight. So there's like, they'd have like fake daylight lights that were in their window wells and shit.
Wow.
And I was like, that's so crazy. You're living like a movie set house and shit.
Well, don't they get so much less light anyway? Like
Yeah. So there's
a
like,
couple hours of light per day.
I think it's like a point where there's like no light for like,
Yeah, a couple months or something.
maybe there's a Josh Hartnett movie or something that's like 40 days of no like sun or something like that.
Oh
but-
my god.
Yeah, in Alaska, I think it is. It's like you get like a month or something.
Those people
like-
should move.
Yeah,
Anyone who lives in
Anyone who lives
Alaska, get out now. It's cold. I don't know if you've looked outside, but it's very cold.
There's light on
Any place
other
that pays you
states.
to live
There's
Yeah.
like a sun. There's a sun out there. Leave.
Yeah, could you imagine just living out there? Be like, yeah, well, no sun for a couple months. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I guess
like,
I'll turn the lights on.
But I wonder if you dial back on like a macro spectrum where you're like, oh, what's with this stupid, like sun and darkness in the same 24-hour parameter where like they have like within a month, where it's just like, I have a lot of sun for a whole fucking month. It just suns up.
guess
And now I
it's
got
like
a whole bunch
mental
of yeah.
gymnastics you have to play with yourself. I bet that's fucking crazy if you move from there to here and then you're like, whoa,
These
it's
days
like,
are so fast. The sun's up and down and up and down. Never ends. This is a lot. How do you take this? Full moons, crescent moons.
tomorrow, today,
Yeah.
tomorrow, it's way up and down.
And it's warm?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
It just never ends. Jesus Christ. Yeah, right.
Sun rises and sets.
It's up
East
and
to
down.
west.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I couldn't do that shit, man. There's like, Alaska's beautiful. That's like the one state I've not been to in the Union yet. Like I've
never been.
to all the 49 other states. That's
you
the one
really?
yeah, eluded me.
That's amazing. Did you do that on purpose, or is it just like you just have?
You know,
been there?
back in the day, I just started running one day.
Started
I was-
hitchhiking.
Yeah,
No
way.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, it was
way.
crazy. And I got like this mud paddle like splashed in my face, and I wiped it off with a t-shirt, and it was a smiley
Was it
face.
a smiley
And
face?
Yeah. You probably heard this
I've
story
seen this
before.
in a
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, exactly.
I've seen this in a dream.
And I
Tony
was
used to
running.
own a
Yeah.
shipping boat.
Yeah. I invested in a fruit company, and
He's dating a girl who had AIDS and
Yeah.
died.
wasn't really my kid, which is yeah.
And he knows what love is. He
My
knows
best
what
friend
it
died in Vietnam.
Like
whatever.
chocolate,
Yeah, I met the president.
Things. The president.
is. Drank 67
It's way
Dr.
too many
Peppers in
Dr.
there.
Peppers, yeah. But it was a different time,
Yeah.
You been to all the states?
All the states. We used to do a
That's
lot of road
amazing.
trips. So when we do backpacking trips, we would take a northern route on the way there and a southern route on the way back. So we can kind of get
That's so
like
cool.
grab like 12 states in a round trip and shit. So you do big chunks like that, and then just from my own travels, like just moving around the coast and stuff. And then Hawaii was just something that like I got this cruise ship
Yeah,
job
how'd you
there.
drive there? Oh.
Dude, it costs a lot of money.
You got to get a good
Yeah.
A
car.
really fast
Yeah.
car. To send
Only
people with
Bentleys will
Yeah.
make it across the ocean.
Yeah.
So you did cruises out of Hawaii, or is it just?
I got a
happened
job on a
anywhere?
cruise ship, and then realized I was massively claustrophobic.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah,
Have
it
you
was
been
a
on
bait
a
and
cruise
switch.
ship before the
Never.
job? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
This is like, so, okay,
Never take
just-
a cruise. Just get a job.
Dude, like when I moved out here, I was like just a rogue fucking moron. I was like 20 years old, didn't have a computer. The internet was
Was?
still a new thing. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm a more refined idiot. And
Now I have a printer.
yeah,
I've
I'm a fax machine.
Fax
And
machine.
someday I'm going to get a pager.
Yes.
Then we'll take over the world.
That's on the Christmas
Yeah.
list.
But they had like an ad in the LA Times is like, because I would do this thing. So I was first job out here, I was scabbing at Ralph's because they're on strike. Then I went back for Christmas to Wisconsin, ended up getting fired at Ralph's because they wouldn't give me a time off. I'm like, I'm going home to see my family. I didn't want this job. I'm fucking crossing a picket line every day.
Like, come on.
And then, but because of that though, I can never work at Ralph's again. Like I was like, once you're fired from there, you can never go back. And I was
Really?
Like, and I worked at a grocery store throughout high school. So I was like, I'll never be a grocery clerk again. I was like, fuck that. I don't need that shit.
At
Move on to bigger and better things.
At any Ralph's anywhere?
They're all union. So I think I'm just fucking like done. I don't know.
But is there one big list? That's what I want to see
There's like a picture of like Tony.
Yeah,
the
list,
naughty list. This is the Ralph's naughty list.
Yeah.
It's his face and he's just like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
me too.
after I was banned from the grocery stores,
That's hard. It's a hard life.
I was like, I better get out of ship. No, there was an ad in the paper. It was like $600 a week. Again, 2003. So this is 20 years ago. It was $600 a week plus free room and board, living in Hawaii. And I was like, I got to go to Hawaii so I can still live in LA. I'm like, that's crazy. But like, it was like a 6-month contract. I'm like, I could go stack a bunch of cash. I wouldn't spend any money. All my fucking bills are paid for. I'm just collecting this money. And then, we got
$600 a week.
20 years ago.
That's $80,000 a day today. Do you realize that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, for real.
No,
I wonder
awesome.
what that is with inflation and everything, like what it came out to be.
Well, if you think about it, it's like
it had to
it's
been
like,
pretty because
that's
it's
not
like
that much. I mean, I was again a 20-year-old kid, and I was like, and I was like, bouncing between shit. I was like, this seems like a decent thing. My brother was the one that really kind of sold it on me. So me and my older brother fucking make fake resumes and shit, and we get this fucking like go through these interviews. Dude, we had to do all these like stool samples, all these background checks, all this shit. Yeah, all this shit.
Where were you what?
Because you're in like a little fucking.
You want to get in the ship?
Shit in You're on a fucking.
Send me a bag.
Have you shit in a bag?
Do a sample test.
Shit this bag. Prove that you want this job.
I have a stick in a bag.
Yeah.
Do your business.
we didn't even need this. We just wanted you to do these things.
Sucker.
This is just for me.
Bro.
The business doesn't even know I'm doing this. Keep it between us, kid.
Yeah, it's just for me.
I'll test it. I'll let you know if
Friends
you
take shits in bags too. Yeah, show me what you want this job.
This kid's got a shit bag.
You're my third. You're my third today. It's fine, kid.
I need more solid stool.
You eating rice? I can tell. Anyway,
You need
go
more
talk to
fiber.
the owner.
Yeah. So we end up getting these jobs, and it's a typical bait and switch thing where it's like the $600 a week is at $7 an hour, and you have to work like 16-hour days, 6 days a week to make that money. And I was like, no.
Wait,
and then
was that minimum wage or was that not even?
yeah, 'cause minimum wage is like fucking like $7 an hour or something like that back then. And then they're like, yeah, they may or may not tip you. I'm like, so I'm like straight minimum wage job on a fucking cruise ship. I became a merchant mariner. I got this like, I got certified for because we did all this fucking training, like firefighter training, all this kind of stuff. Because there's no
They
emergency
tested our
person.
stools again. I don't know why.
Started building stools. Dude, this really love stool there. And then like they basically like they don't have EMTs, they don't have firefighters, they don't have cops. So depending on which group that you're recruited as, like I happen to fall into the firefighter training one. So we went through all the training and shit. So
Did somebody call a doctor?
Staff,
yeah,
just the staff of the cruise ship.
Yeah,
They
$7, 15 cents an hour.
Somebody need a
Take care of
surgeon.
fires.
Somebody need a
Well, this is the thing,
surgeon.
like,
Tony
like,
Klein right here.
yeah,
Let me see. We need
doctor
a
at
roof,
the house.
we need a roof separator. Fucking
Scalpel.
That's
Wow.
fucking stupid.
Yeah, so
That's fucking scary.
but that's the funny thing in this. So like they tell you how much they're gonna pay you. You can't have more than 2 drinks a day because if shit goes awry, someone's got to put that fire out, and I'm the firefighter, right?
right.
And I'm
No
like,
drunk firefighter.
yeah, if there's like if the ship's sinking, your job is to make sure everyone else gets off the ship before you. I'm like, get the fuck out of here for $7 an hour. I'm absolutely not going down to the fucking cruise ship. You got to be all fucked up.
Throwing
Like,
kids and wives and
What, you
babies.
fire me? There's already a fire. Yes.
I have a good. I don't know why there would be. I mean, I guess for safety protocols, but it's really funny to have firefighting people on a cruise ship. Like you could just jump in the water,
Right.
You could just get away from the fire
Like
because you're surrounded by the thing that stops the
Yeah,
fire.
there seems to be safety there.
Supposed to get more of that in here where the fire is. But
Yes.
yeah,
That's
so
a very good point.
we did all the training. I was there for like 2 weeks. I was in some army barracks in like Honolulu. And then when we got on the ship, they said me and my brother could bunk together. And I was like, cool. So I know who my roommate is, but it's also with 2 other dudes one of the guys is like clinically depressed and just like, man, this place sucks. You got to get out of here. I'm trying to get out of here. Trying to get my brother fucking like get me a plane ticket. I'm like, oh, okay. Like so right away, that was the first time I was like, this is see what it's supposed to be like. Yeah,
really good to be here too.
This was another brochure.
And then they're like, the dude that's giving the fucking tour is like, yeah, you know, we don't recommend that you fraternize with other employees because someone on this ship has HIV. I was like, whoa. Fucking like, wild card.
What?
Yeah, watch out. So I was like, okay, cool.
These guys are probably so fun at a party.
And then also too, like
Yes,
you're like,
crazy as shit.
this is still like, I'm still like a young kid. So I'm like, oh, can I drink out of this water fountain? Am I gonna AIDS from this? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is like safe here? Like nothing. Everything's contaminated. I'm sleeping in something. It's all universal bedding and shit like that. And it feels very like prison-y, but like no, I'm not like chained to anything. So you like common yards and shit and like,
Oh my god.
yeah. So
And someone on the boat is a murderer. Good night. Like, what?
We lose one person every day.
It's weird.
We don't know who.
roll call. Who's missing today? Yeah, so the ship leaves the bay, the fucking thing starts rocking, power goes out, all these electromagnet doors just start closing and shit. It's kind of like we have at the place that we work that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, those doors close every once in a while. It's
Taco
like
Bell.
that. So you're just like, now I'm stuck. And I mean,
We're
my
locked
bunk
in the
is, like,
bottom of Taco Bell.
locked in the bottom of Taco Bell, floating in the
Shut
ocean.
all the
There's a lot
doors.
more floors than people
There's
know.
no air being circulated, so it's just this fucking stagnant air.
Oh my
I'm in a
God.
fucking like closet, probably half the size of this room, and then I'm in the top bunk because like the depressed guy and the other dude was like, and his other guy's like flamboyantly gay, like way too excited to have new roommates. Like, oh my god, you guys are gonna love this. I was like, am I though? Zach wants to kill himself. I'm indecisive. My brother's just sleeping already, and like my face was like so close to the ceiling, or I felt like I was on a top bunk, but also somehow I felt like my top bunk was below someone else's bed. It was like that close. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this, dude. And the fucking when the power went on, I'm like, okay. So like I fucking like leave my room. I follow these like, you know, glow in the dark arrows to get to this fucking like, you know, the smoking deck. And then I got, you know, shushed back to my fucking room because they were like transporting luggage on and off the boat. I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen. I'm not doing this shit. So I fucking reported back in like Honolulu, and I grabbed my bags and I was like, yeah, I'm like, Donnie, we get the fuck off this ship.
So how long did that go for? Like one journey?
I literally was on board for one night.
Oh my god.
Like they flew us, we did training. They flew us to like another island on some little puddle jumper flight. We got on the ship there and we came back to where the main airport is. And I was like, yeah, fuck this. And like I grabbed my fucking like duffel bags. I grabbed all my shit and I like, you know, like checked out to go on, you know, go ashore and never came back. And they're like, call my phone, like, hey, just see if you come back to the boat. Just fucking snooze, like not fucking answering that shit. And then I ended up like, you know, meeting the chick from Alaska in my training. So I called her up. I'm like, Becky, like this fucking ship sucks. Like I basically went back to like the people that I was training with that hadn't gotten their clearance yet to go on board. I was like, you guys got the fuck out of here. This shit sucks. You shouldn't. No one should do
Someone's
this
got
job.
HIV.
Yeah,
You gotta go.
There's a guy that kills someone every night.
Yeah, someone is clinically depressed. It's ruining everything.
Missing persons. Yeah.
If you need rent for LA, don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Yeah, it's just like it's a whole bunch of shit going on. Yeah, dude. So
My god.
That's fucking funny.
they ended up sending me a fucking check though for the training. Yeah. I'm like,
Getting paid
More than
$90
$90 for
Klein.
your day.
Yeah.
Stool sample, $50 extra.
Yeah.
you want $50? Send me one more last stool sample. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Can't get
keep
enough
on
of your
sending
shit.
them, baby.
Yeah.
I'll never run out of $50 bills.
Never run out of $50 bills.
I
Yeah,
got
man.
you, kid.
Jesus Christ, man.
What a story.
That's like Tony is like the person that got me out here because he's like that guy that takes those risks, and I'm not the person that takes risks.
Yeah.
So I'm the exact opposite of what he is, the yin and yang of our friendship over the years, where he's like, yeah, whatever, let's give it a shot, let's do it, you know. And I'm like, no, I need to have this and this and this lined up. And like before I moved out here, I had all the things lined up to make sure I wasn't like gonna freak out and like want to go back home. I wanted to make sure when I came out here, I would like land and be
You had
okay.
like 12 grand saved up when you moved out here.
Yeah, like more than I needed for sure.
That's
but I
great.
was like,
I had a significant amount too, but like
Tony's
it
like,
was
hey,
nothing,
I got $100.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
150.
what?
I got a gift card from Best Buy.
Yeah, well, it's like I was like, "What? Aren't you nervous?" He's like, "No,
Not at
it'll
all.
work. It'll work out.
Nah,
We'll
nervous
figure it
isn't
out."
even crossed my
Equinox.
thoughts.
Equinox membership with this?
Yeah.
That's good. You guys
Got
are
a lottery
yin
ticket,
and yang. Yin and yang.
Yeah, but the thing is like, okay, so the uncertainty of what you could do in LA and the nervousness there is far more refreshing than just the definite fucking depression that I had in Wisconsin. Where I was like, oh yeah, this is like, I'm gonna fucking like become resentful and shit. And like, just also too, because I moved out here initially really in 03 just to be a carpenter in a sunny state.
Wow.
And then I just fell in love with the arts, you know, and then I just like, I was like, I need more. I need to like let my, you know, inner
child
show
out.
Yeah. I need to
Awesome.
The yin and the
say
yang.
words that
Again,
people wrote for me.
when we moved out here, like I said, I wanted to have everything lined up. I'm like, I want a job lined up. I was doing
You
music.
had like girlfriends, bands.
band.
Yeah.
I did. I had like everything
What
lined
did you move
up.
out here
Yeah,
for?
Eric already ordered
For
a
music.
a meal.
Okay,
for
for
music. Yeah. The what?
You already ordered a meal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got some food coming, man. Uber Eats coming. Yeah.
Little Caesars should be there any minute. And then I was going off down to San Diego to play with my band every week. And he was kind of left after, you know, we had a day job out in Calabasas, an office job. And he was left on the weekends or basically by himself at the apartment. And I think that kind of like got to him.
Eric filled my food bowl and water dish really full. So it was fun.
Yeah, like,
Didn't
you
die.
go, you gonna be all right? So when I'd be gone and I would come back and I'd have like, you know, like something to say other than like working in an office job, I'd be like, oh, I saw this, we did this, we played this show or whatever. Then he'd be like, oh man, like I think I like maybe helped motivate that inspiration of like, I can do something else, because Tony's always been like the funny guy growing up and always been like, you know, made me laugh. I'm like, man, like you're a fucking funny guy. Like, you know, fucking do something, man.
Yeah. Do something with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, do something with that. Or like do anything. Like, you know, acting, comedy, whatever. Like do something. Like there's so many opportunities out here. And I think that maybe had like kind of guided him in a direction to maybe get into those kinds of things. And
Not at all. Don't give yourself credit for that. Opposite.
He's like, it's all me. When did you start stand up?
I was thinking to myself, and I was like, I should come up with this idea myself entirely originally. I started doing stand-up like 12 years ago.
Okay.
And it was like a fluke thing because I was taking an acting class because one of Eric's producers was in a band called POD, and he was getting a student named Marcos, is the guitarist, was getting into acting and shit. His agent wanted him to do that. So he got me into an acting studio that like I couldn't get into without representation. So he kind of vouched for me. And then taking that, dude, I was just a fucking like ball of nerves. Like I've only ever been like the funny guy in a classroom on a job site. So now I'm like on a stage and I have to like remember lines. I'm fucking just sweating through all my shirts. Like, dude, I've never sweat that much my entire life. I was like, just like really trying to work through nerves. And then like also, trying to stay on book, right? So
True that.
when you drop a line, my instructor's like, if you want to improv, you should take an improv class. I'm like, all right, bitch, I'll take an improv class. So like I went to, but at the time I was already paying like fucking $300 a month for like an acting class, right? Or $350, whatever the fuck it is. And I was like, well, I don't have another $300 a month for an improv class. So I filled out a course form for like LACC. It was Intro to Improv, but I filled out the wrong like number and it ended up being Intro to Stand-Up Comedy.
Wow.
And then this chick that was my scene partner at Howard Fine, the studio was at, signed up with me. So we both I got her looped into this shit too. So then had to be held accountable by her. So that was the first time I did like anything stand-up related. Was at LACC.
By
mistake. And then we had like a showcase thing there. I was out of town for that. And it was like I should have performed at the Comedy Store, which I didn't. And then it was a few more years after that like that kind of whetted the appetite. And then I was like, I kind of want to do that again. But like I was too much of a pussy to do it. And then I looped Eric in for like his birthday. I was like, hey, don't you want to take a stand-up class? I'll pay for your Groupon. And so then he and I took like a stand-up class at like Flappers in Burbank. And that during that time, it was like a 6-week course. And I got in a motorcycle accident like 2 weeks into it.
Shit.
So I was like, I finally found something that I really like what I was doing. Like the instructor's like, you're like a natural. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking storyteller, you know? And then I get fucking hit by this car and I have a whole new story to talk about.
Yeah.
So now I have this like new content. I still have fucking staples in my chin and shit like that. And it was just kind of like really got me excited for it. But also at the same time too, like when I got hit by the car, I was like, I'm going to fucking die. It's like,
Did you have crazy injuries? Is just like
this is a fake leg.
it looks great.
No, I just had like 11 or 8 like staples in my chin and then just like bruised ribs on both sides, like fucked
Damn.
up, lost a toenail and shit. I didn't really break anything. I was surprised. I thought for sure I broke
incredible.
my toe,
Some scrapes.
but you know, you take your vitamins, you know, you just do your regular
You
calisthenics.
can survive any motorcycle crash.
Take an iron supplement. Makes me Iron Man. No, but I lucked out, dude. I was like legit. I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking like in a wheelchair and shit. And then I was not. And I was like, okay, thank God. I fucking like. I'm trying to avoid that my entire life. Like that is my now number one thing. Is like I don't ever want to fucking lose like my vision. I don't ever want to lose my fucking like mobility because those are like fucking scary things, dude. I was on a show with a guy a few months ago, and he was in a wheelchair. I was like, that sucks. No, just kidding. But like, that was like a big fear about it. So that we were talking, he's like, yeah, you got shot. And I was like, oh my God, that's a whole other way that you can get. Because for me, the biggest like way that I can get in something like that is from a fucking motorcycle accident. That's like my number one way that I can end up in a fucking seat with wheels. I'm like, that's like not for me. And then like, I'm like, ooh, also getting shots another way. I'm like, all right, don't, road rage things. Like I had to fucking like, curb all my options of that kind of shit.
Don't get too mad while driving.
Yeah.
Someone's got a gun.
2 things I'm trying to avoid my entire life for the listeners out there. I don't ever want to go to jail or be in a wheelchair, which is like another shitty fucking life sentence, if you ask me. Nothing wrong with wheelchair people. Live your life. But,
so
or jail.
On the topic of inspiration, how did you get inspired to get into music and like that whole thing? Like, because you said you initially started with acting and then you got into music. Like, how did you, like, that's like a big, thing to kind of like overcome and get into, like, especially at the level that you're doing it at. It's not like you can't just like, oh, all of a sudden I just know how to produce and write and do all these things. Like, cause it's a very hard industry, let alone to produce the things that you're producing right now.
Right.
Like they're very top notch. They're like great.
Well,
so like, what was your inspiration, or who, if anyone, like kind of guided you in that direction, or, what was that process like?
It definitely came from my dad. Like I've been around music my whole life. So my dad's a symphony musician in Kansas City. So he plays for the Kansas City Symphony, and he plays for one of the best jazz bands in KC right now. So
what is his?
He's a fiddle player. So he plays violin or viola in the symphony, and then fiddle for jazz gigs. But like I was kind of around bluegrass when I grew up. So bluegrass was really what inspired me, because he was in a great bluegrass band, and I was around like just musicians all the time growing up. And my mom did music. Well, she was actually on the radio. So my mom did radio shows. My dad did the performing arts centers with the symphony.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So it was almost like, it just felt like it was either something on a microphone or something with music. But I loved acting, and I still do love acting. I think it's just almost like the fallback. Like what I truly love is like what I was kind of born into, which is just the music. Like,
yeah.
So I like a lot of my music is kind of that acoustic-y. I feel like it's based off of like the bluegrass that I grew up on. Like it's based on that kind of acoustic, kind of rhythmy, like,
yeah.
Not really folky, but kind of folky stuff.
Yeah.
Mixed with a little bit of pop and
it's like
stuff.
a newer, like a revived kind of version of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up around a lot of bluegrass, which is like the heart and soul of what inspired my love for music, I think. But yeah, it was really my dad. Really, my dad is the...
And what age was that at? Because you're very young still. Like you're like, oh yeah, when I was young. I'm like, you're fucking young now, dude. Like, and you're like 18 when you moved out here the first time, and then the second time you came out here, you were back home for what you said 2 years.
2 years. I was like 20 or 21 when I moved
21
back,
when you came back the second time. Like the whole production side of it, and like kind of learning that whole aspect of the recording industry and just music in itself is a whole fucking, mountain to overcome. Like, it's so much to learn with that.
I think
stuff.
It's just trial and error. I think for most stuff, it's like, you just got to try it. And I wasn't releasing music, but I was always making music. So I was always at least trying new beats or trying new writing songs on my computer.
And I think that's all self-taught?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did music in high school. I did theater. So it's like, I've learned through that stuff, and I've had like vocal lessons. So I've had like the kind of training to do music.
Right.
But never like songwriting lessons until like 2 years ago. I did Berkeley for music production. So until Berkeley, I hadn't really had any formal training for like music production. But now I technically do.
Okay.
Professional.
Right.
Certificate.
Right.
Holder. But Doctorate from Berkeley School of Music. Heard of it? Yes, we make music. We have pianos and guitars. But yeah.
So you learn these different aspects of music, and then when you start like actually kind of putting them all together and being like, okay, I can make a song now.
You know what's
and
stupid
then,
is I used to do it when I liked a girl. I would like write a song about the girl or something, and then try to make it into something that actually sounded decent, and then send it to her. And it was always like a really cheesy reaction to see like what she thought. But yeah, I think it was just the there's so much beauty in like music and like the dynamics of music, and I think I just craved the feeling of music. Like it really wasn't a lot of a lot of the sound that I crave is like I crave a feeling when it comes to a certain song. Like with the story I'm telling, I crave a sound and a feeling, and I kind of go for that when I make the song.
Definitely.
Or the sound.
Yeah.
But
that's hard to capture too. Like when you have a feeling in your head and you're like, how do I get this into like a noise that
exactly
like matches the feeling that I'm feeling?
Yeah.
You know? And then also like making it like just something that you like, and that you can, again, like you were saying earlier, like you created this on your own. Like this didn't exist before.
Yeah.
And like you've made this into existence. Like it's something that like no one's ever heard these notes this way and this thing. And like, you're like, bam, I just made this thing. It's like a very like, I guess, birth-like experience where you're like, I created something out of nothing, you know,
it's like pure
literally.
manifestation of
it's kind of
turning nothing into something.
I think there's like an addiction to that too, like that feeling of like writing out something that you have in your head and thinking something that like really means something to you, like verbally, and then putting that to music. And then when it's all done, it's said and done, you're like, wow, like, okay, like this, it means so much more to, I think, whoever created it for sure, no matter what it is, whether, you know, anything, like it could be the worst song in the world or the best song in the world. Those two people had the same feeling after they completed that piece. They're just like, wow, like I had nothing before and now I have like this thing. Fucking crazy. Like it's so crazy. I mean, I think that's like one of the addictive things that you get as a musician or a writer or a comic, even, you know, anything like that.
And I feel like it's always like the deeper you search to make the art for yourself, the better it always is. Like Rick Rubin always said that, of like, you know, don't make the art for the audience, but make it for yourself. And I think that's just like so true, especially with music, because
for sure
music can sound so similar, but it's like, especially the people that stand out are just the people that solely just want to do what they want to do,
right? Even
if it sounds a little different. And then that usually becomes like a mainstream if they do it well and they like it. But
do you find it hard to write things that are positive, like harder, or things that are negative? Like for myself as an example, like I typically only write when I'm like really bummed out or like have something going on where I'm like, I need to,
which is always.
Yeah. So anytime that
he was the guy from the cruise.
Really, like for any of the music that I've ever really written or been a part of, it was always that aspect of me that got it out of me. It was never like giving the opportunity to say like, hey, write a happy song about something. Like I think that for me is like the hardest thing in the world to do. It came as such a struggle as a musician to like make something that's fun and happy. And like, I see you're able to do both those things. And I find that like really, really impressive too.
Thank you.
Like, how do you navigate those two things? Or like, what do you draw from to grab those emotions? Because I know for a lot of people, it's like, you know, a lot of artists in general, like it's always like something you don't really hear, like happy death metal, you know, it's like one thing. It's usually like, you know, something scorned, or, you know, you feel
happy death metal be birth metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I just crave, I chase the feeling. Like with like Ginger Like Me, this is a song. It's like very happy. It's about basically, I just had this idea of like, it was basically an ex-girlfriend in high school. Really wasn't even girlfriend, really wasn't even dating, but she was eventually a couple years later, really, she doesn't even know my name, but a couple years later, she was dating someone.
Order, but now she knows my name.
Yeah. I called her so many times, but she was dating someone at the time. And I don't know if she was posting on Instagram about like just being upset or something. And I just was like, there's so many times in life you think like, especially when you're single, you're like, I could be so much better of a partner than that guy, or like, you'd be so much better of a boyfriend. I craved that. I was like, it has to be braggy, it has to be happy, but it's more like, I just want to show you how much better I am than this guy. Like that was the whole point of the song. So I think I just crave, like, I chase that, like, there's some feeling, there's some like one main idea behind every song. Mm-hmm. Like Malibu Love, it's missing someone. It's just like when you really miss someone, like, it's the things you miss about them that really hurts. It's not just the person.
Right.
And like, that's what I wanted to draw in on. Something like Waikiki is more like fun. It's just kind of like, you just want to get out of the craziness and just go somewhere. It's just like, so I chased that. But yeah, it's just like I chased the idea, really. And then it's like, it kind of just builds itself, whether I start with the chord progression or the lyrics or the idea. And then I just kind of just morphs into one.
So there isn't
thing.
like for me myself, like I would always start with a lyric, and then that would go into like, you know, how do I want to like make the feel of the
Sing it.
song, and the lyrics kind of dictated, not necessarily like always dictated the sound of the song, but like it was like the bass, you know, and then I would
the
build
bass
off
line.
from there. And then once you get into production, as you know, like you can go from anything. Like that's like the craziness about production. Like you can have something that may be a sad song, but you put some bongos behind it,
Yeah,
or like whatever, and
exactly.
you're like, oh, this is not that. It's like a
Exactly.
happy sad song, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can change so many things, and that there's so many options, you know, that you have to like hear a different version of what you initially wanted to say, you know. So it's like,
I think that's the beauty of like being your own producer, is like you just kind of know how to do everything. So it's like you can start in any spot.
mm-hmm.
So like where some people don't know how to even produce music, they'll just, or simply just write the lyrics, and then they'll go to a producer and kind of work out the melody, work out the thing.
Right.
But I like being able to just like say I started with just the hi-hats and like who knows, just the percussion side, and then just see what if I can crave a feeling there, and then add something else on, and then add something else on, and then write on top of that,
Right.
rather than just starting with the writing, or just starting with the writing and then
Right.
building everything else. I think it's a freeing feeling.
Yeah, so many like little
So you
tiny
kind of attack it
things.
from a bunch of different avenues. I guess.
Yeah, like I think it just depends on what I start with. Like there's so many times if I try too hard, I just never like the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I just sit there and I just do something I like, and then just try to add on to that with more things I like, I feel like, especially lately, anytime I'm recording anything, I have to be just in the zone. Like I'm trying to be like every single track on each song,
Yeah.
every single sound is me feeling it. Like I'm just feeling it. That one little clip was just me feeling it in the moment, whether it's the loop all the way through. So I always try to capture like the moment, like even if it's just a piece of a drum bit, like I just want it to be like something I really felt when I was playing it.
Right.
And then it just, whether it's just the tiniest thing or the biggest thing, I just want that to kind of carry through. And I feel like that's the longevity of good music, is like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's
Capturing
like, it's
that little-
timeless, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
capturing those, like what you're describing, like that I feel is like the most difficult thing about creating like great music, and
Yeah.
like being able to capture that, like that genuine, like little, that sweet spot,
Segment,
yeah.
you know, like that's what all songs that everybody likes that has. It's like, oh, like they're just like in that groove. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but you can just like, you know, when you're creating it, or if you're a part of it, you know when those spots are,
yeah.
you know.
And it's easy to go too far with those music. Like sometimes you have something great and then you start adding too much, and
Yeah.
then you get carried away. But like, that's why I like Rick Rubin so much, because it's really kind of just every single time I make a song now, I just want to step back and just be like,
yeah.
just use the minimum. Just use the minimum I need.
Yeah.
Make sure it gets the point across. And that always seems to do the better job.
Yeah, that's definitely been something that like I've kind of gone full circle in my musical journey, where I went like just started as just a singer, and then had a friend who played guitar, and then he would do harmonies, and then got into rock and roll, and then heavy metal, and then like it basically went full circle, you know. And kind of like having less to me has always felt like that like Zen spot, you know, that
Right.
that natural place
Only
for
put in
me.
what you need.
Yeah, like very bare bones, and like having that was like, all right, like once I had all these other options and productions and things I can make this sound like this or this or this. I was like, oh, it's too much. Like I'm too like ADD, where I just get like scatterbrain.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I just go with like what I know is like just the simple stuff. Like simple. I'm simple.
Yeah. And it's cool to have a team like that. Like I've
Simple
always
Eric.
Yeah, simple Eric.
Simple Eric. Simple Eric and Tony
Well,
Show.
gets my face rains. Yeah, yeah, but I think, but then having like, you know, a great producer or somebody like that can kind of take that like bare bones part of whatever music has been created, and then like kind of see, oh, like this can work in this type of production the best to complement each other with whatever has been created originally. I think that's like the really like talented part and hard part of like music production and all that, which you have obviously been able to find that sweet spot. You're really good at like writing a song that comes across as the feeling and vibe that you want it to be, and it never seems like it's pushed or trying to be a certain way that it isn't. Like the song always seems like it is that, like even at its bare bones, if you strip the production away, like the song in its like entirety and what it's meant to be is still that, which is
Yeah.
like that's why it's like it's like cool.
Love
know?
that.
'Cause it's
Thank
like,
you,
yeah,
dude.
it's like, oh yeah, that's like,
what I want
that's
to
a
hear.
jam.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
It's like the best compliment ever for my music. So
I told him to say that.
say it.
Like, and then that is the way that
and that is the best thing about music.
It's on this huge screen right here. You guys can't
there's
see
a
it at
Mark-
home.
Mark's giving us the
Teleprompter.
teleprompter. No, yeah, man, that's so great though. I'm like, so like every time I hear anything that you've put out or produced, I'm always like just so blown away because again, like I know like you don't think you're that young or whatever. You're like, oh, I'm an old guy, whatever. Like, dude, you're super young, but like the
Do
stuff
I
that you
say
put
I'm
out.
an old guy?
No, you say you're like, well, when you're like, oh yeah, I was so young back when I was 18 or whatever.
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, you're
yes,
still,
yes.
it's only like 4 years ago or some
Yeah.
shit. Like, so it's
Yeah,
like, it's like very young. Like, I think I
Yeah.
was your age when I moved out here. But with that being said, it's just like, it just shows, where you're headed. And it shows like, if you've already like understood this, like the elements of this already, like, man, I can't imagine where you're at when you're my age, when you're fucking 41. Like, Jesus Christ, it's going to be some
We're
crazy
excited.
shit.
Like older
Yeah, we're
brothers.
excited, man.
Can't wait to see what Ben's gonna do next.
Hey,
Yeah,
thanks,
it's so
guys.
cool to see that.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's how I see it too. Like I do hope that like, and that's the whole point of when I do put this, just making the music timeless, like trying to really make sure I'm feeling every bit when I record it. Like I feel like I do want to look back in 10 years and think any song still feels the same, still kind of plays the same. And hopefully I'm still making music and making better music. But yeah, that's the goal.
That's the cool thing. You
Just
have
keep
little
getting
time
better.
capsules of like, where
Yeah.
you were and what, inspired
Yeah,
you
and I
at
see it
that
as like
time.
a therapy thing too. Like it's
Yeah,
just like
for sure.
it can capture moments, it can capture feelings, capture parts of my life.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
It's a
in a
music
way,
diary for
in
sure.
a way, it's like a
Yeah.
public diary. Yeah, it's like things I've been through, things I'm feeling,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's all based on like real thoughts and feelings. So people know
That's
what
the
I'm going
best type
through.
of music because
Yeah.
like, you have like the ghost writers and shit and like, all the, I don't want like those conglomerates that write music just for the sake of hits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what I've always like been more like driven, like just kind of connected to is like stuff that's like legit, like a little more under the radar, indie fucking artists and stuff. And then you really, dude, that's why punk music's so great because there's like, they don't like play the best like music or instruments. And like the vocals aren't the greatest, but the fucking, what the content is and what they're singing about is so passionate that you transcends all that shit. And you're like, oh, I've been there. I can
Yeah.
relate to this. Like you need to get these emotions out and stuff like that. And yeah, you can relate to that.
I love that.
Your last like iteration of music with Joe, man, like all those songs of like heartache and shit, like when they first came out, they definitely resonated. But now going through this new chapter of my life, I'm like, there's some good fucking songs, Eric. You need to write some more depressing songs. Daddy's depressed.
You still writing?
No.
No.
I just don't. I haven't. I mean, I wrote something like maybe I recorded something maybe like a year ago or something, put it out, but not like with the intention. Like I haven't really like sat down and like got into that like flow state, where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm going to write and I'm going to do this and I want to have something. And I think that for me, I can't put myself in a time frame of like, I need to do this. It just comes when I need it. Like, it's like a parachute for me.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like when I am like just a mess of a person, I need that. And I can't do that for other reasons other than to save myself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I need it there for me. Like I know like to keep creating and doing these things it'd be nice to do. But it won't come out as
You don't know. I mean, if you haven't really tried to sit down diligently and write, like,
I have in the past where I was kind of like, told to, okay, we have to make this, or we have to do this kind of song, or we have to do this, or I need, I've been in those situations and it never came out as genuinely as the things that you're relating
Yeah, I feel
to.
like if you ever have to do, especially with art, it's like if you have to do something,
Yeah.
it's never going to be
Yeah.
as good as
yeah.
the thing that's going on
Naturally
then in that
inspired, yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just hard. It's hard to do that.
it is. And it's funny, like a lot of those songs that he's referencing, they weren't anything that was, they came out like within a night or like with like very, very fast where I was like, oh, like it's almost like a blur. Like, and I've heard a lot of other like musicians just talk about that when you come up with something and you don't even know what's like going on. You're just like, oh, and then like before you know it, you have this like song, and then
Yeah.
like it's done. And like it's not like you're like, what do I need to say in this, or how do I do this? It just kind of like comes out of you.
Yeah.
So like you don't need to.
That's literally for me. That's what Meet Me in Waikiki was. Like I wasn't even gonna put this as a single. It was gonna be just like a hidden song on a track on an album. I'm high already. But like for me, like that's when I had the dun 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 dun, like let's go by one way places we could see. Like I sang that in the studio one take, and it was all improv.
Yeah.
For most of the lyrics that are on the song, but it was just the feeling, and it was just in that moment, and it was just like, what do I feel like?
That's
this
the best
song
though,
needs?
that you fucking just grab that vibe as it came through you.
And that's
because
actually
sometimes-
what's on the song. That
one take.
recording is the one I used because I liked it so much. And in the studio that day, that's when I was just putting the last little words together, and then I recorded it. But like that moment was what I tried to capture. And I think I did. But like it was genuine and in the moment. And I feel like that's what makes it.
Yeah,
real
and
special.
I'm sure you've had people connect with that song already, if not also other songs that you've written in the past where like, oh man, like I feel this, or like I was in this mood and like that song like matched it, you know, whatever. And that's like something that's very, very like cool to hear back from people, like, you know, like saying like, oh, like okay, like unintentionally, you know, because when you're writing it or doing it, you don't have any intention of like, you're doing it out of like just of what your own mind is going through.
Yeah, make it sound good for you.
Yeah.
Kind of try to do as best you can for you, and then you just kind of release it and hope people connect.
Yeah.
Speaking of releasing, so when's the next track coming out? What's next? You got? I know you're.
Well, my goal for 2024 is a song every month at least. So at least.
But you might drop one before the end of the year, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm almost like I don't want to get too ahead of myself, so I'm like I might hold it for January so that I have a January release.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Fucking.
Well, that's what this
cut
song
your legs
was.
off from under you and fucking.
He's already had a schedule. This was
you're
a
right.
January
You're
song.
right.
I know,
That's
but we
fair.
had this talk in the studio like
It's
a
not
couple weeks
official.
ago.
We can talk. Let's talk.
And you know, we were talking about how many songs you put out this year, and then trying to, you know, best that next year. But if it's ready, put it out, and then
Yeah, I would agree with that.
keep.
I don't have
yourself to
anything
it.
that's ready though. That's the thing. It's like everything's close, and I just have to sit down and work. But there's a couple of songs I'm really proud of, and a couple like productions. Like the beat is completely done, but I have no lyrics. But the beat is like some of the best sound I've ever made.
Yeah.
But I just can't figure out what I want to write about,
Right.
and I can't release it unless it's
Don't force
genuine.
it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a song a month, just to even get out of my own way next year is the goal.
Yeah.
So January for sure. January 2024. But
And then this
we'll
is
see.
the point where we plug your handles because we're about almost out of time here. So
Got it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my handles.
Where can people find you, Benjamin? And you know what do you got going on? You kind of gave a little sneak.
You
peek
can
of
find
what's
me on the
going
streets of Hollywood. I will be busking. I have a golden cup that I sit there with and a Christmas Santa hat, and I'll just be right there. So if you guys
Parkouring
stop by,
around.
drinking out of an Eric and Tony
parkouring
show
around,
mug.
throw some shots in there, throw some cash in there. Trying to pay rent. No. I'm on Instagram as Ben Gruenbaum, BenGruenbaum.
Super easy.
Yeah, so
Totally
easy.
spell.
It's the easiest name I've ever
message
heard.
me for spelling details because I called him Greenbaum.
Yeah,
put Ben
yeah.
in
Ben
there.
Greenbaum.
Hey, that's
BOMB.
you at least said the word that it means in German, so
Yeah.
that's perfect. You know you're German.
You know, you just-
But yeah, YouTube. You know, go to Spotify and check out my music. Ben Gruenbaum, same name. I almost did a different last name, but here we
dude,
are.
Keep it real.
Here we are.
It's only
Stay
one of
fresh.
you.
It's only the one and
Yeah.
only.
One and only. Well, thank you guys so
Dude,
much
thank
for
you
having
so
me on
much
the
for doing this.
podcast.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Taking time out of your
Really-
busy schedule.
Really appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
I do too,
So-
man. Thank
so
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
An
And you-
honor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy, everyone go buy some of these glasses. Let me do it better. Everyone go buy some of these glasses.
these
They're
glasses.
so cool. I have literally 49 of these at home. I'm about to buy 10 more. So I'll be at 59. But if you buy one, they'll throw in,
You can be on the podcast.
Whoever
Look at
buys the
that.
most of these glasses will be on our podcast next.
That's right. That's why I'm here.
You can
Got to
follow
beat
me.
59. So far,
VIP.
Ben was a winner. That's why
Yeah,
he's on.
let's go.
You got 50.
69. That's the square beat. Follow me at Tony Klein Comedian on Instagram and all the other social medias and all that stuff.
You can follow me at Eric Rustler on Instagram. You can follow this podcast at The Eric and Tony Show. You can also buy these mugs that Benjamin was so enthusiastic about telling you about.
They're pint glasses. We got to stop calling them mugs. It's not a mug. Mugs got
pint glasses, beer glasses, glasses. You can
buy these shot glasses.
he's
buy these coffee mugs at our website.
These are like the most giant, the most giant shot glass in the history. We should just use that.
Drink it out of my shot glass again.
Tony Show shot glass. That's way better.
You guys must get loaded.
You can buy the Eric and Tony Show shot glasses at theericandtonyshow.com. You can also buy some t-shirts. We got sweatshirts and stuff on there. We'll be dropping every episode every Monday on Spotify and YouTube. So the full audio version on Spotify every Monday, full video and audio version on YouTube every Monday. And then throughout the week until our next guest, we'll have 60-second clips of the guest. So Benjamin, you'll be 60-second clips every day for the rest of the week. So get ready, buddy. Your feed's going to be flooded.
Let's go.
So
like and repost.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, repost. So that's where you can all find us. And thank you again for watching the Eric and Tony Show. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Peace.